Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded Patriots postgame show. I am your host, Eric, one of the hosts of the weekly podcast, Sports Unfolded, which is every Friday night at 6 p.m. Follow that ticker on the bottom. You can get all the information on how to follow us, watch us, again, every Friday night. But today, going to be discussing the New England Patriots, who lost to the Baltimore Ravens 37-26 in what I can say is a ugly game. Both sides, a lot of turnovers. New England uncharacteristically turnover prone today. 4 turnovers in the game. So break down some of the game for you, talk about some of the key players, and then I'll give you my 3 stars of the game. So first off, New England, 447 yards of total offense, 302 passing, 145 rushing, 7.1 yards per play. If you look at Baltimore's defense, one of the worst ranked defenses currently in the NFL, New England was able to capitalize on that, put up some points, also move the ball with some effectiveness. Again, would have liked to see maybe more continuity when it came to some of the turnovers, obviously at key points of the game. I believe Ron is going to join us any minute. 2 for 7 on third downs. Third down efficiency, not very effective for New England today. 1 for 2 on fourth. 1 fourth down call. Very bad decision by Mac Jones, where he definitely had Devonte Parker open for a touchdown and went to the underneath route. 3 sacks allowed by the offensive line. 3 penalties. A lost fumble. 3 interceptions. So from an offensive standpoint, definitely a lot of mistakes. We're going to try to get Ron in here now. Ron, welcome. Cannot hear you. Usually helps if you plug in the microphone. That's usually one of the first keys. Still no sound. Still no audio, my friend. Ron on location. Going to talk about the defense real quick. 2 turnovers, 4 sacks in the game. Very effective defensively.
How about now?
Now I can hear you.
Can you? There we
Yes,
go.
sir. Yes, sir. So just went over the offensive, defensive numbers for the New England Patriots. Your thoughts on the game?
Kind of disgusted in a lot of things. It's today. It just seemed like a lot of mistakes.
Very uncharacteristic of the New England Patriots. Yes, costly turnovers at key times. I think as a Patriot fan, the most alarming thing maybe right now is the injury to Mac Jones. Looked very serious, possible broken ankle. The way I looked at it, that would be season ending.
That's not good.
That would be season ending. And we've talked
and would be season ending for the Patriots for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. Miami won today, beat Buffalo, so you already think about the hole you're in. You know, you lost to Miami. You're 2 games down from there, and Buffalo's your second place team at 2-1, and we haven't even played Buffalo yet. So, not looking encouraging as a Patriot fan for this season, especially if the loss of Mac Jones is significant. So we're going to talk about Mac Jones and some of the offensive performers. Mac Jones was 22 of 32, 321 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions, did have a rushing touchdown. Your overall grade of Mac Jones's performance?
To be honest with you, it B- at best.
And that's where I was going to go C-
in my book.
Yeah, it could have very well been a D. I went C-. I thought he showed a lot of moxie today. He seemed like he had some energy to him, but at the same time, then just some costly,
some bad throws
processes. And the funny thing is, I kept hearing it during the entire broadcast. They kept talking about Mac Jones, his mentality, his brain, how smart he is, and I saw a lot of plays that I really didn't consider smart plays today. The one throw to Devonte Parker in the end zone, clearly was covered. The fourth down where it was an underneath route and Devonte Parker was wide open, he decides to go to the underneath route. Just some poor decisions.
Well, he threw into a lot of double coverages today, a lot of them, and there was a lot of lucky non-picks.
Yeah, he got lucky on one of them.
I guess we're clearly on a delay.
Yeah. Queen went and he broke it, and he should have. Yeah, it should have been an interception without a doubt.
Yep.
So let's talk about the running back performances. Ramondre Stevenson, 12 carries, 73 yards and a touchdown. Damian Harris, 11 carries, 41 yards and a touchdown. Still questioning the split back. Ramondre Stevenson definitely looked like the back today. I just don't understand why we're going to continue to split time with these two individuals.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really so much have a problem with that. It's just when they use them. So if, for instance, Harris doesn't seem he's gaining the yards, I think then you're going to go with Stevenson because he's more power, a straight ahead, pound it through kind of play. And even though I think can do that, but he's more, look for a hole. And let's face it, many holes for Baltimore today. And he didn't find much room where Stevenson just took it and just went. I think that's the approach that they needed to do. They didn't do that enough. And when if you're not running the ball effectively, and to me, they weren't really running it effectively. I think they were like, it looks nice, with 100-something yards on the ground. It looks nice, but it wasn't effective. And that's why you have Mac Jones throwing double coverage all the time, because it seemed like Baltimore was basically reading the playbook of the Patriots. That's what it seemed like. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we know teams don't cheat.
No, never. During the broadcast, it was pretty alarming, though. They said when they're under center, they run like 70+% of the time. When they're in shotgun, it's like 80% of the time they throw the ball. They've got to learn to mix it up. I think they become very predictable.
That's what we were saying. Yeah, and we were looking at this last year. We saw all the time, run the ball first time, run the ball second time, all the time. And once teams started doing that, you could see their offense sputter as the year went on. And no different now. They're just it's textbook. Once you stop playing them in the game, they got your number. And if you don't mix it up anywhere.
Yeah, if there was one bright spot today, Devonte Parker, 5 receptions, 156 yards, 31.2 yards per reception. Nice to see him get involved in the offense. I think they utilized him differently now.
Absolutely.
More of a slot receiver, kind of going over the middle instead of that just straight deep threat. And it seemed to work for them. I hope they continue to do that. Also saw a Kendrick Bourne sighting, 4 receptions for 58 yards. Jacoby Myers not playing in this game clearly helped them utilize other wide receivers. I felt like Mac had to move the ball around, and he looked for Devonte Parker more, which was good.
Yeah. No, look, he had a good game. He made a few nice plays. He was a really bright spot, and it was good to see that, because now that gives you at least a second option. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Aguilar, from here on out. That was a costly fumble, and I don't know if he's going to be in the doghouse for a long time to come.
Yeah, it seems like Kendrick Bourne and him might have both swapping spots now, and we'll see Aguilar in the doghouse. We also saw Jonnu Smith, 4 receptions. They kind of utilized him. Yes. Hunter Henry had a catch, so the tight ends, 5 receptions. Getting them involved, that was always a plus as well. Concerning would be, again, though, if it's Brian Hoyer as your starting quarterback, what does this offense look like going forward?
I don't know. I mean, if there's anybody that knows the playbook, it is Hoyer. He's had a lot of time to practice it. So, but I'm very confident that they can win a game.
Yeah, many games without Mac Jones. Defensively, Devin McCourty, 7 tackles. Dietrich Wise, 5 tackles, 3 sacks. Jabril Peppers, 5 tackles. Jonathan Thrones, 3 tackles and an interception. Your thoughts on the defense and how they performed?
Look, for the most part, it was pretty good. But I'm sorry, McCourty looked old in this one. Look, there was a lot of plays where he was the guy clearly covering, and he couldn't even get in on him because he's just, when do a cut, he doesn't have that pickup speed anymore. So if you cut and go the other way, you're going to lose McCourty. Unfortunately, look, we all know he was a well above average player in this league for a long time. Today, I saw a lot of deficiencies in the ability for him to get in to make a tackle. But he couldn't get in there.
I thought they got...
And that's what I noticed a lot.
Yeah, I thought they had some good pressure early on. Definitely seemed like they were defensively on the line, was able to penetrate, get into the backfield, made Lamar Jackson have to move around, make some decisions. But then they went 4 straight drives where they gave up a score in the second half. And I think that's ultimately what cost them as well, because when they needed the ability to have a stop, they couldn't. Lamar Jackson in the second half went over 100 yards rushing, definitely took control. The secondary didn't seem to cover as well. So similar to last season when they played the very good teams, they were exposed defensively, and we saw that again today.
Right. You know, and I don't know if you noticed this as well. That second half, they were on the field a lot. The defense was out there a lot. And I was watching the body language of some of the players, namely Judon, who was gasping for air at one point. Hands on his shoulder, hands on his hips, gasping for air on him, and he looked like he was done. And that is not a good sign, because if it's game 3 and you're already gassed, last year it took them halfway through the season to get gassed. That's not a good sign. I'm a little concerned about that as well.
I think there's some conditioning issues with Judon, because we've seen it now more consistently where he seems to lose steam towards the end of a game and then towards an end of the season, as we saw last season. So it'll be interesting to see. I thought Jabril Peppers, in the absence of Kyle Duggar, looked good.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. Here's a player that quietly we picked up and wasn't much expectation. If he can continue to be active on that defensive side, we're going to be realistic here. If Mac Jones is out for the season, this defense is going to be the one reason why this team wins some games.
Yeah, they're going to be on field way too often. Yeah, they're going to have to be, unfortunately, because, you know, if you're playing too much, you're just going to get winded, and we've seen it today. Like, they were out there too much, and it caught up with them, and then they couldn't stop Baltimore for a while, you know, and that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. You can't play defense tired because, you know, you just, especially against him, he has too much skill in too many areas for you to keep up if you're going to be gassed.
Yeah. So let's talk some special teams. Miles Bryant, I've got a question on why he's your punt returner. This is 2 games in a row where he's actually bobbled the ball. He got lucky, fell on it. There was that questionable, you know, safety last week where he, you know, bobbled it again on the goal line. I just don't know if they have any other options, but I don't feel like he's the number 1 option for the punt return.
No, and I think the league now knows that too, because they're not trying to kick it to him. And once you have that stigma, you're going to see more and more teams do it. And they know it's prime. They know it's prime.
Yeah, and then also some
So
coverage
I
issues.
don't. Yep.
Yeah, they also had some coverage issues today, which is rare. Again, we don't see that too often.
Long run on punts and kickoffs, and
Yeah.
It didn't look good today.
Yeah.
It didn't look good.
Nick Folk, 2 for 2,
Like
though, did
obviously
break the record. Go ahead.
of course, Nick Folk is the one part of this team that I never question.
Jake Bailey, 2 punts, averaged 50 yards a punt. That was pretty good as well. So special teams wise, I think they performed okay.
Room for improvement.
Yeah. What about the coaching? How do you feel the coaching did?
Well, I mean, they did score the most points they have. I mean, there's that. But like I said, it's when you call the plays, why you call the plays, and are you doing enough to make the other team try to figure out what you're doing, or do they already master what you're doing? And we see the results already. So not impressed.
Yeah,
Not impressed at all.
I thought we're starting to see a little more from the offense. Still not where it needs to be. It's been 3 weeks now. Defensively, I think they did a very good in the first half, and then the second half, I thought defensively they didn't play as well as they could have, and I thought that was a lot of what the coaching staff was not doing.
I could see that. Absolutely.
So next week we face the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers coming to town. Your thoughts on the likelihood that the Patriots will be able to perform well in that game?
Well, if Hoyer is the starter, I don't think it matters.
I would be surprised if Mac Jones is able to go. That did not look good at all.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the secondary, the one benefit is Green Bay's wide receivers are still not where they need to be. That could be a plus for the New England Patriots if they can control the line and be able to create some pressure. Maybe they have a shot. I think you're going to have to go to a more heavy run offense at this point.
Yeah, they're going to have to. They're going to have to bring everything in. The tight ends need to get some blocking done. This is not going to be a cakewalk next week. The only difference is that you don't have those dynamic receivers that Green Bay usually has. So I think, that offensive line by Green Bay is where the Patriots need to capitalize. And that is the only area where I feel that they have it. But Green Bay is going to run the ball right down the Patriots' throat, and they're not going to be able to stop
it. That's my optimistic co-host, as usual.
I try.
So as we know, as we normally do, we end with our 3 stars of the game. Ron, who was your third star?
My third star was Steven. I thought, he put up a good game. I think he could have done better if he played more snaps. Obviously, Harris wasn't as effective. So I think they should have went to Stevenson earlier because the style just fit better to play Baltimore. But I thought he had a really solid game.
Yeah, I also went with Stevenson at 3. Same reasons you said, just seemed like he had more pop, was able to make guys miss, utilize that, size, his body, and be able to get some additional yards. I thought he played very well. And again, 6-7 more carries from him, it's 100 yards. That's where New England has to go, to your point. My number 2 star, I had Devonte Parker, and I thought he played extremely well, made some very difficult catches, looked good. Would have liked to see him get in the end zone, but again, I think Mac Jones was continuously trying to force it to him when they were down inside the 20 in the red zone. So not good passes. I like what they did with him, moving him from more inside versus outside. It seemed to be more effective. I thought this was finally a game I was excited to see Devonte Parker in.
Yeah, I had him at number 2 as well. So
we may
great
have
minds
the same
think alike.
Yes, they do.
We may, because I mean, it could go one of 2 ways on this next one, but we'll see.
I will
for
tell
the
you, it's
same
not Mac
reasons,
Jones.
like Parker played, that was his best game.
Yes,
No, it's not Mac Jones.
Yeah,
and it's not the coaching.
No, not.
It's not Aguilar.
Yeah, we're going to be having some miserable times after this one. So next week's game's 4 o'clock. So the show will be obviously after the game. So we're looking at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Perfect.
But your number 1 star?
It was a tough one. I didn't know whether I should go with the interception, but I went with Wise. He was busy in there the whole game doing something, and I think this is actually the second time I put him in my, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is this season. Yes, he's having a very good year.
But he's number 1 this time. What, 3 sacks, 5 tackles? He had a great game. Great game.
Yeah, extremely active. I agree with you. We had all 3 the same. That hasn't happened yet either.
There we go.
Wise,
there we go.
Without a doubt, was in the backfield. You could see he was getting pressure. Definitely controlled the line. That Baltimore's line could not keep up with him.
And for some reason, I was thinking his name was Sam because of Samwise Gamgee, from Frodo's little friend.
Yeah, it's very good.
And I couldn't remember his first name because all I saw was Sam from Lord of the Rings. That's all I saw.
At one point
think you get those 5 tackles.
At one point, they definitely utilized an extra guy to block him. Which, again, when you're having an impact like that, that's what teams normally do. They ended up giving help to the tackle because they just couldn't control him. So definitely the number 1 star. Great call by you. Once again, this has been Sports Unfolded, Patriots post-game show. We normally air every Friday night on Rhode Island Broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter. Check us out live. We're fan interactive. We love having fans jump in and help us along with the show. Ron, it's always a pleasure doing these. Unfortunately, again, very concerning with the Mac Jones injury. We'll have to keep our eyes and ears open to see what we find out about that.
Yeah, well, there's always the Bruins, I guess.
Yeah, there's no Celtics. A good call. But I guess the one fact we could look at as well is, hey, we may have a top 5 draft pick next season.
Hey, yes, that is something too.
Right.
So you sacrifice
our NFL draft show
for a pick.
Right? Yes, our NFL draft show, we may be early enough to talk about the Patriots. Ron, I will see you on Friday night, my friend. But you take care.
But look, Bill will trade down.
Yes.
And then we'll go ballistic. It'll be a good watch. It'll be a good watch.
We'll have the 5th pick and somehow end up not picking till the 2nd round.
But we'll have 7 picks in the 2nd round.
Yes. Oh, it seems to work out well for us. Once again, New England Patriots lose 37-26 to the Baltimore Ravens, fall to 1-2 on the season. Next week, Green Bay, 4 o'clock game. We'll see you then. Ron, you take care. Fans out there, all we want is peace.
Have a good day.